I found out about the recent GEV competition from my mom. She sent it to my teacher since I was at school. And I was very excited to participate in this competition because gender equity and gender equality is something we've not given much attention. So when I heard about the GEV, I was excited because I saw it as a platform for me to talk about the issues that are pressing our country, that are pressing us as a youth generation, issues we have not given much audience or attention. I wrote my first poem, and successfully, with God's grace, I made it to the top 10, and I had the grand finale on Wednesday, 26th April, of this year. And when I reached there, I was a bit shaken because my competition, none of them was within my age range, and they were exceptional poets. They were I had actually interacted with some of their work before, and they are very exceptional, they are professional, and they are very authentic. So in my head, I wasn't really now thinking about the win. I was thinking about giving a voice to many people who have not been listened to. So I participated. I put my whole entire heart into my poems because these poems had become a part of me. They had become my voice for for men, for women, for girls, for young boys out there who have not been represented. And again, with God's grace, I was able to be the first runner-up, and that was a very exhilarating feeling. I was ecstatic, I was happy, I was able to represent many people out there. I was able to give a voice to many of their fears, many of their afflictions, and I was able to come out with a win. So generally, the whole experience, it was exciting because my voice was listened to and other people's voices were listened to through me. So yeah, it was a great experience. So the art of poetry and storytelling. Poetry is a very diverse craft and it's a very elaborate craft. Through poetry, people are able to talk about things that are generally not given audience. And one of those things is women's rights. For so long, women have always been looked at as the frail race, the frail kind of people. Women have not been listened to. And in lockdown, the issue became greater and bigger. Cases of domestic violence were on the rise. So as a young person, I asked myself, in the changing world I'm living in, how am I going to talk about the issues that are affecting people today? So I decided to take part in, I'd say, start writing poems. I wrote poems about the different domestic violence issues that people suffer today. And I thought that there are very many women out there who are not listened to. One of my very many poems is called The Irony of Protection. Now, in The Irony of Protection, I am talking about girls who have been raped by their fathers, because in an article in the Daily Monitor during lockdown, they were talking about how several girls have been denied the right to education because they are carrying their own father's children, they are carrying their own siblings. So I thought about it and I said, in how are such atrocious acts happening in this world when we young people can have a voice? So I decided to use poetry and storytelling. One can craft a story and that story can change the world. It can change volumes of people. It can save millions of girls out there who are not being listened to. In the GEV competitions, myself and the other poets who participated, we crafted exceptional pieces of work that talked about the different afflictions that women face that no one listens to, the different afflictions that men face that no one listens to. But I've been asked about women's rights and poetry and storytelling. I think poetry and storytelling is one of the many platforms that we as the youth today can use to talk about the different gender inequalities that the world suffers today. Conversations about gender equality, there are things we have neglected, and yet it's a very important factor of development. If men and women are not looked at as people who can both lead a nation or people who can both be doctors, How do we expect to attain development if we are leaving behind a whole entire gender, moreover, mothers to the nation? If we're leaving mothers to the nation behind in development, how do we expect to attain a country that has no dependence? Men cannot do everything alone. Every man needs a woman. In fact, when you look at it this way, men would not exist if women did not exist. So conversations about gender equality are very important because gender inequality is something that's pressing our nation very much. We do not give girls and boys the same opportunity. Imagine there are so many girls who are out of school right now because their parents think it's better off for the girls to be married. Imagine if those girls were taken to school. How many presidents would we have given an opportunity to education? How many doctors would we have given an opportunity to education? If we deny girls the opportunity to go to school, or if we deny women the opportunity of leadership, then we are denying future saviors of our nation the opportunity to change the world. Our nation is in a dwindling crisis. Our nation is on brinks of poverty, the brinks of corruption. And there are a lot of change makers who have been neglected because of their gender identity. Conversations about gender equality are not something negligible. It's actually something that's very important, something that can change our nation, something that can change the course of our nation. So I think, and I highly agree, that even in parliamentary sessions, people should sit down and talk about gender inequality and see how they can make a change to it. But I believe it begins with us, the youth, because we, the youth, are the future leaders of tomorrow. So if we, the youth, can have more poetry and storytelling competitions, if we can have more platforms where we can discuss gender equality, then I think I am seeing a brighter future for Uganda where both men and women will be looked at as equal people. Thank you.